on my side.
We would have to go through the
And then one
process
day,
because
when
they
you don't want to kill
destroyed
people
all
in
evidence.
wars,
They
they turn
deleted
against you.
everything.
He hated
There's
the
virtually
concept
nothing left of
the other fake
not
story
going
and
to
so
war
many
with
other fake
everybody.
stories.
Let's kill everybody.
And many
Spend a
people
lot of
came
money
out on our
military
side.
equipment.
You know,
And
where
those
her father
people now
works, right?
got to find them.
And,
There's nothing left.
But what she did
So
was
that's a
incredible.
criminal offense.
If that
Think of
were
it.
a civil
They
case, it would be
destroyed
a
and
criminal
deleted
offense.
all of that information.
If
If that happened civilly, we did that, it would be a criminal offense. And the reason they did, because
So
it
I
was all
decided I'm not
false,
going to.
relationship. I wish we could have had a better
Even though there
relationship
are bars,
between
there are
Republicans and
bars, so you
Democrats.
can't
I was
really do
with
that. Anyway,
Senator Schumer. I said, Chuck, I think it's time we all start
So I wanted
getting
to
along
talk
a little
about
bit
that,
because it doesn't make
all
sense.
of that stuff got deleted.
I mean, we
And the
literally
reason it
never
got
get a
deleted is
Democrat
they
vote.
were
They
all
never get a
caught in lies.
Republican
Secret
vote,
Service
almost.
testified, and they said it didn't
And
happen.
although there is a bill coming,
They're
Democrat
suffering,
vote,
right?
because it's going to be
their friends are
a
saying,
very
did Trump really
beautiful
do that
bill.
to
We're
you?
going to have a deciding, I would say, within a week or so.
A
I
whole
think.
new respect for me.
And it's going to be a very
But
good
it
bill.
was just make-believe
You all know
stuff,
what
and
I'm
there were a lot
talking
of
about.
make-believe stories, man.
I just want to thank you all
So
for
rather
being
than
here. You've been our
suffering the
fans from
wrath,
day one.
like the
All these people all over.
Yes, I often
You've been our
tell
fans and soldiers. She knows it. She admitted it on tape. What it did to me.
This
She's a
has been,
videographer or whatever you
this
call
has
her.
been
Which I'm glad she is. There's never been anything like it. There's never been anything like it. This has been a movement like no movement ever in history for probably any country, let alone this country. You know, if somebody's running for president, and if they go out and they announce they're going to Arizona, they're going to Nevada, they're going to someplace, if you have 200 or 300 people, that would be standard. Ronald Reagan would go out. I mean, outside of the last couple of days where people get a little excited, but even then you have a couple of thousand people. But if you're going to go someplace, any place, any one of the swing states, any one of the other states, I mean, how about the non-swing states? We won Alabama by 48 points. We won Tennessee by massive numbers. Wyoming, we won by numbers that are, nobody's ever seen numbers like that. And, you know, places like California, we did great, but when they send out like 38 million ballots, and nobody knows where the hell they're sending them, and then they come pouring back, the whole thing. You know, they passed a law in California that if you work in an election bureau, and if you so much as ask for a voter ID, if you say, sir, ma'am, could I please look at your voter ID? They have the right to put you in jail. You're a criminal. Can you believe that? There's only one reason that happens. They want to cheat. So they had it where voter ID wasn't accepted. But now if you even ask for it, this is seriously a bill that was just signed, passed in their legislature, and it was signed. And I think when we get things cleaned up and we get back to a little bit of normalcy, I'm going to ask the Speaker to really get involved, because I think we would have won the state of California, because, you know, if you look at my numbers with Hispanic, we're at 56%. And we were winning. We won the Texas border that had never been won. As the governor said, he's doing a good job, the governor, by the way, of Texas. But as the governor said, it hasn't. Oh, did I get lucky? Did I get lucky? Supposing I said, you know, he's not here, but the governor of Texas has done a terrible job. Wow, look at you. You mean we couldn't get you up in the front row? I tell you. Supposing I said, JD, the governor of Texas, is not doing his job. You heard what I said. See, I didn't know you were there. I said he's doing a great job. He's doing a phenomenal job. But now you're going to have a partner that's going to work with you, because you didn't have, not only didn't he have a partner, he had people selling the wall. right? We have a fence structure that we worked on, the governor worked on with me. And I didn't love it, to be honest with you. I wanted a nice precast concrete, 40, 50 feet high, like a beautiful, could have been a T-shape, Y-shape. I love construction. I wanted that sucker to go up maybe 50, 60 feet. It would have looked beautiful, a nice Y shape. And they said, the problem is, sir, they climbed that like a rabbit. I said, what do you mean? No way. And they brought some of these guys out. They climbed it like... And the other thing is you hit it with acid and the thing will disintegrate. They have things for concrete. So they needed very hardened steel, very special steel. And then they needed 7,000-pound concrete inside that steel, inside that steel. And then they have a rebar that's the toughest steel made. Very hard to cut. So this is why very little is cut. I mean, it's right. And then they put a anti-climb panel on top. I hated it. I said, it's so unattractive. And I said, why would that work? I don't believe it works. And I went to watch the Border Patrol, gave a display. We had actually two sets of climbers. The guys that climb up walls with drugs on their back, I mean, they got like 60, 70 pounds of drug, and they go as fast as you can walk. They go bip, bip, bip. Or we have Mount Everest type climbers. And honestly, the drug guys were much better. I couldn't believe it. The drug guys blew them away, right? But it's true, the anti-climb panel, they couldn't get around it. They just couldn't. You didn't have it. So sometimes you sacrifice beauty for efficiency. And we did. So we built this wall, and we built over 500 miles of wall. That's why we had such good numbers. The famous chart that came down, very thankfully, the chart that came down on my right, Governor, had I not looked over there, I'm not speaking right now. You might be speaking here. You want to know the truth? You, JD, and we've got a lot of great people in this party, but I got very lucky, but we had the best numbers we've ever had. But I bought, what happens is when you fill it up, it's like water. You fill it up. Now we have 571 miles of wall. And they would always say, when we renovated a wall, so there'd be like a piece of plywood sitting there for 60 years, or a 2x4 sitting for 60 years on the ground and rotting. Because, and they'll say, you didn't build a new wall. Here we're building 50 feet up in the air, and 30 feet sections, 50-foot sections, all steel, all concrete, all everything. And all, by the way, they don't even want me to say this, but what the hell, it doesn't take that long time. They're all wired for all of the equipment. We put wires in everything so they can easily wire for all the different types of equipment. And if there's a doubt, we have a wire. Whenever we just look, you just find the wires all over the place up top, so we could just hook it up. We don't have to have wires on the outside, which wouldn't do too well, right? So anyway, we built an extra 200 miles of wall, and the governor wanted to buy it. He tried to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it to him. He wanted to put it up himself. Could have been done in 3 to 4 weeks, 200 more miles, because when you do it, now they just keep going further out, getting around. So we did an extra 200 miles, and it was all bought. And they announced that they're not going to put it up. And that's when I realized they wanted open borders. And that's when I realized that people are going to come pouring through the wall like nobody's ever seen before. But you've seen it. A lot of you are here because of that. I made it my #1 issue. They all said inflation was the #1 issue. I said I disagree. I think people coming into our country from prisons and from mental institutions is a bigger issue for the people that I know. And I made it my #1. I talked about, you say that an apple has doubled in cost. I'd say it, and I'd hit it hard, but then I go back to the fact that we don't want criminals coming into our country. We don't want the jails of every country in the world virtually being deposited into the United States. And that man had to suffer with it. And he did an unbelievable job. I'll tell you, he was a very popular governor, but now he's like an unbeatable governor because of your border policies. He was fantastic. And he really was. So. Governor Abbott is he's a great man, great leader. And but it did make him did you do it? You didn't do that for politics. You did it because you wanted to do the right thing. But I'll tell you, it sure as hell worked for politics too. It's self-preservation, that's right. But no, because the people are demanding it. The people of Texas are demanding it. The people are demanding it all over. So anyway, we built it, and they wouldn't let us use it. They wouldn't let the governor use it. And other governors, they wouldn't let him use it. But he was the leader of the pack and did a great job. And then we heard about a month ago that not only wouldn't they let it use it, they were selling it, they were going to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, 5 cents on the dollar then, but today it would cost more than twice as much to build because we bought it like 6 years ago. And it was just sitting on the ground, and that does not do well for the whole thing. But it was just sitting on the ground, and I heard about it, and I called the governor, and I called a lot of people, your attorney general. And here's the story. They were going to buy it, and these are great business people. They were going to buy it for 5 cents on the dollar or less, and they were calling us up, we'll sell it to you for 200 cents on the dollar. In other words, it will cost you twice as much, so it's 200 cents on the dollar. I said, can somebody explain that to a judge? I mean, how corrupt is that? You'd think they'd say, maybe we'll sell it to you for 20 cents, 30 cents, but not 200 cents. So they were going to buy something for 5 cents, and they were going to sell it to us for a fortune. They were going to make it would be, they'd have it down in Fortune magazine, they'd put it of the deal of the year, okay? You buy something like that. But it was so corrupt and so horrible. And when we told that to the administration, they didn't care. They just kept going forward. They couldn't care less. And they kept going forward. They knew that they were trying to sell it back to us. They would have sold it back to us. You would have ended up buying it. You would have paid probably 50, 60 cents, who knows. But they were going to use it for scrap metal, but then they made a much better deal. They could just buy it and sell it to us for 15, 20 times what they paid. 20 times, think of it, like 20 times what they paid. And we wouldn't let it happen. And the governor with his attorney general, Ken Paxton, they made a fantastic, they're a good lawyer. He's pushed around pretty good by people, right? I said, you got a great attorney general. They should leave him alone. He was with me. But Ken and the governor went to court, and a judge actually became incensed and actually called for an investigation. How could a thing like this happen? So he stopped it. So we're waiting to put that wall up. And now that you have a new president, that wall will go up so fast. The governor will complain, sir. This is Greg Abbott, sir. Please, the wall is going up too fast. Please don't do that. You know the story about winning. No, we're going to win too much. We're winning too much. Please, let's stop. People always love that one. We'll do this with the wall. Governor Abbott calls, sir, the wall is going up too fast. We can't take it. We just can't take it. No, I think you'll be very happy if the wall goes up too fast, right? But we'll get that done, and we'll work with you on that. But it was a great decision by a great Texas judge, right? And it was beautiful to watch. He stopped them right in their track. I mean, they were literally loading this stuff onto trucks. It was terrible. Honestly, it was terrible. And he wouldn't take it. So I'm so glad I mentioned that they have a really good governor in Texas. And I swear, I didn't know he was here. I swear to you, it sounds like a setup. I didn't know you would end. Did I get lucky? I said the right thing. Because there have been moments when I wasn't so happy with him, you know? But not too many, I can tell you that. So anyway, it's good to see you too, Governor. Great. But I just want to thank everybody. You've been incredible. I recognize so many of you. It's so crazy. But this has been a long journey. This was a journey that started in 2015, probably started 20 years before that. People used to say, you're going to run for president? You're going to run? And I always said, no, I don't want. And then one day I said, let's give it a shot. And what I talked about then was the border, too. I think it probably was the number one issue for me. Back in 2015, 2016, I talked about the border. And now I talked about the border, but this border is much worse. We fixed the border. It was totally fixed. There was nothing to talk about. 2020, by the way, that election was totally rigged, but that's okay. It was a rigged election. You know the only thing good about it? It showed how bad they are, showed how incompetent, and frankly, historically, this is a much bigger event. If that would have gone like it should have, the bad thing about it is some bad things happened, like a lot of people in our country that wouldn't be in our country right now. So that's the bad part. But I will say that it started in 2015, and right from the beginning, we went to the top. Day one, they announced Trump, and Trump went to number one and stayed there for the whole primary. And then we took on Hillary. She didn't look too happy today. We took on Hillary. a very nice person, but we took on Hillary and we defeated Hillary, and then we did much better the second time in 2020. You know, we got millions more votes. We got millions, like 10, 12 million more votes than we did the first time. No president has ever gotten that many more votes. I got like 9 million more than anybody else had ever gotten. And they said we lost. And because of that, I said to Melania, what do you think? And she said, you want to do this again? And had we lost, and had I thought we lost, I wouldn't do it again, because that's like the ultimate poll, right? But I knew how well we did. And this time we made it too big to rig. It was so big. They tried. They tried like hell in the butt. They tried to do it, and around 9:02 they gave up. Last time they did bad things, but this time they just said, yes. You know, I don't know if you saw, Mr. Speaker, in Washington, they had placards. They were all set to march. They thought it'd be closer. A gentleman asked me, a very respected gentleman asked me yesterday, how come the polls were so wrong? They showed you winning, but not in a landslide. I said, because people that are true Trumpers are so angry at the whole polling system and at the writers, the fake news, that they don't want to talk to anybody. So when you call somebody from Trump, who are you voting for? They say, it's none of your business. I'm not telling you. And that was probably 40% of the people they called. So they would discard that one, and they didn't show that. And then when the election happened, you know, the vote came, and it was much different, much higher than, we're going to win, but they really thought, they couldn't believe, the one man said, I mean, it was so much higher. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of votes, which is hard for a Republican. I'll tell you who came through. The unions came through. The auto workers were great. The Teamsters were great. The firemen were great. I think almost every union was great. The only one that weren't great, although Sean was great, and the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, was fantastic. But generally speaking, the head of the union was against Trump, but the union would be with us for like 80, 85%. Look what we did with the auto workers in Michigan. Look what we did with the Teamsters. The Teamsters were unbelievable. They were a solid Democrat vote, and they voted for Trump. So we had a great experience. This has been, now we have to go to work and get it done, because we have to do something that's going to be great. We're going to turn our country around, and we're going to turn it around fast. And I think this was a better speech than the one I made upstairs, okay? I think this was better, JD. I think this was much better, and I got to see my friend. So, Governor, take care of yourself. You call me, we'll start working. You know what that means with him? He's going to be calling me tomorrow morning at about 6. And I said, how about next week? You call me and we're going to get it started real fast. We'll really help you a lot. You've done a fantastic job protecting something which is, it's not supposed to be for the states. And amazing job you've done. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody. And I have a First Lady who's been incredible. She's been incredible. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get hell when I say this, but her feet are absolutely aching. You know, those heels. And we thought we were leaving. We were going home. Sir, would you be able to go down and say hello to some of your other fans that are here? I said, oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Did you get to see pretty clearly the picture, I hope? Good. That's good. But because you wouldn't want to make the same speech again, right? But she said, darling, I love you so much, but my feet are killing me. I said, honey, let me just see how far it is. I asked the person. Oh, not that long, maybe 400 or 500 yards. That's 5 football fields. I said, can you make it? She said, we're going to make it no matter what. We're going to make it because we have to get, right? And then we went out to the helicopter, though, just prior to this, and said goodbye. And it's a custom, and the wind is blowing like crazy. And with the hat that she's wearing, she almost blew away. We almost lost off her. She was being elevated off the ground. She almost blew away. No. So we all appreciate it, because she's been a great First Lady, a beautiful and a great First Lady. And they love our first lady. You know, JD, whenever I make a speech, I see hundreds of times, we love our first lady, we love, and they do, and they should, she's great. So I just want to thank you very much. I just want to thank everybody. And I felt that, I said to JD, should we give him the A treatment, the B treatment, the C, the D, or the F? You know what the F is? Hello, everybody, thank you for being here, bye-bye. I gave you the A+ treatment. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
President Trump, now having delivered his inaugural address and his second speech here, unscripted, and he told the crowd listening there, his supporters, that he believes this was the far better speech of the two. And in fact, you're looking at a split screen right now. Formerly Air Force One, now just the plane taking former President Joe Biden from Washington. He just departed from Air Base Andrews, where he gave a speech, and we'll bring that to you in just moments from now. President Trump telling the crowd, you are a younger, far more beautiful audience than the one I just spoke to, referencing the people who were in the rotunda with him, the fellow leaders and former presidents and first ladies, to laughter in the room there. Talked about many of his familiar themes from the campaign trail, and in fact from the first presidency and even the campaign leading into the first presidency. Talked about his plans moving forward, and including the border, which he said still was the biggest issue of this election. He said inflation was big, but he believed that the border was the biggest issue. I do want to bring in Catherine Faulders from our investigative team and our political team, because Catherine has some reporting that we want to get on the air with involving the border. And before we get to that, though, let's talk about January 6th, Catherine. And you heard him reference there the pardons, some of the pardons that came from the outgoing president, but then hinting at the action he'll be taking later today. And you've learned more about what that action will actually be.
Yeah, David, and I should caution that, of course, this isn't final until Trump signs the paperwork. But we're learning from multiple sources that these pardons, that these January 6 defendants' pardons will be much more sweeping in nature than some of his allies even predicted. We're told that he will extend pardons to these January 6 defendants. But in addition to that, we're told that Trump plans to commute the sentences of those who are in prison now for those violent offenses on those police officers. Now, what does that mean? That means hundreds of individuals who are currently serving time for attacks on police officers, their sentences will be commuted. Now, he hasn't signed this yet. He is intending to, and that's what's anticipated. But the other thing worth noting here is this will extend, David, to two of those most high-profile defendants that we've talked a lot about in January 6th, the Oath Keepers founder, Stuart Rhodes, the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Tarrio. They're both serving 18 years and 22 years, respectively, for, of course, leading members of their respective groups in a seditious conspiracy to thwart the lawful transfer of power. Those two individuals we could see out of jail as soon as today. I'm told that Trump will also direct his attorney general to drop those pending cases. There are 300 cases where defendants have been charged but not found guilty or convicted or pled guilty in any way. Roughly 180 of those 300 pending charges, David, were charged with assaulting or impeding police. So essentially, this will affect every single one of the January 6 defendants. There are 1,600 of them, so they should be getting that news soon. Of course, I should caution, nothing is final until Trump signs the pardon paperwork, but he's expected to do that today.
Again, the significant caveat to the reporting that Catherine Faulders is bringing to us at this hour is that nothing is final until President Trump signs this later today. There's still time between now and then, and all of this appears to be fluid. But Catherine, all told, about how many defendants total are we talking about?
It would affect, essentially, David, every single one of them. There are 1,600. That's the total number of January 6 defendants who will be impacted in some way. The pardons that you will see most likely are for those who were non-violent. But the significant part of this is those commutations for those defendants who violently assaulted police officers. That means that their sentences are over. Essentially, they will have time served in jail today. Trump is expected to sign this today, and they will be out of prison. So that, of course, is the big news there, and much further than Trump's allies thought he would go. You remember Vice President J.D. Vance said today that there wouldn't be pardons, he didn't believe, for violent offenders. Of course, these aren't pardons, they're commutations, but it means that they will be out of jail, of course, if this reporting stands and Trump doesn't change his mind between now and the time that he signs this. So there's that element of it. And then, of course, all of the cases that are still pending in the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office just down the street, those won't exist anymore after today.
All right, Catherine Faulders, you'll stick with us, and as soon as you learn more about when he plans to sign this, when it becomes official, if it becomes official, and we'll bring you back on. In the meantime, I want to bring in our Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas, because Pierre, again, the caveat here is, things can still change before he signs it, but Catherine, according to her reporting, believes that his actions this afternoon could affect just about everyone, if not everyone, who was charged in connection with January 6th. And of course, as you heard Catherine say, that involves the most serious of charges, those who even were involved in conflict with officers, attacking officers up on the Capitol, and those who might have helped orchestrate what the country and the world saw play out on January 6th, that this could be sweeping in nature and affect just about everyone here.
David, here's where it's fascinating. Of the 1,500 or so people charged in connection with January 6th, a stunning 608 were charged with assaulting and resisting police. It's going to be fascinating to see exactly who would be included, because there are videos of some of these people viciously assaulting law enforcement. And I'm wondering how that's going to factor into this down the stretch of this decision, David. And we've been in conversation today, checked in with Harry Dunn, for example, David, who was very pleased about what Biden did, but was also expressing some frustration that he even had to have a preemptive pardon by Biden, because he talked about how he was fighting for democracy, trying to protect the Capitol, and there he was having to get a pardon, David.
All right, Pierre Thomas with us here as well. Pierre reacting to Catherine Faulders' reporting, and as soon as that becomes official, we'll certainly report that out even further. Again, the president has gone to Emancipation Hall, and now he has left Emancipation Hall. We believe he's headed to the president's room, correct? And we will see that here shortly. We continue to await a luncheon as well, where he'll have lunch with not only Republicans, but Democrats and leaders there on the Hill. Former President Joe Biden has left Washington, and he did speak, and it was a relatively short speech. Here's what he said just moments ago.
Folks, came to thank you. I don't think we could have done anything. I know we couldn't have done anything we did without you. Kamala and Doug and members of the cabinet, all the staff that's here, from all across all the agencies, and friends, supporters. Jill and I are forever grateful to you. I mean that. We're genuinely grateful. As you heard me say before, no president gets to choose the moment they enter history, but they get to choose the team they enter history with. And we chose the best damn team in the world. You are. It's because of you. I mean this sincere from the bottom of my heart. Because of you, we got so much done for all Americans. I look down there, my Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, exceeded only by his wife, who worked for me first. But look, I only hope to look back on these years. I hope you look back on them with the same pride I have of all you've done. I'm proud of is that you did it upholding the core values of honesty, decency, and integrity. No scandal. It's incredible what you did. And you represent the best of who we are as Americans. That's not a joke. That's real. Now, while we relied on your ideas and resolve and counsel, we also relied on your families. To all your families, thank you for the sacrifices you made. I mean it. For being part of this journey. Every day, I'm deeply moved by all we all did for this country. I really mean it. History's going to mark down just what you did. You know, but the point I want to make today is to make clear in my farewell address, as we all do have we have a lot more to do. We heard the inaugural address today. You know, we got a lot more to do. I know from many years of experience, they're up and down, but we have to stay with it. My dad taught me the measure of a person, you heard me say it before, is how quickly they get back up when they get knocked down. That's what we have to do right now. And we've always done our best as Americans. We never, never, never give up. Never. We're leaving office, but we're not leaving the fight. You're smart, you're skilled, you're passionate. The country needs you again. So all of you can, stay engaged in all the ways you can. Whether it's in public service, the private sector, philanthropy, academia, running for office yourself, or anything else you choose to do. I give you my word, we believe in you. We, Jill and I, our family, believe in you. Just as I've said, how the laws we enacted, our seasons are going to grow and bloom for decades to come. I say that to you as well. I have no doubt you'll make this experience and take the friendships you made to continue to do amazing things in decades to come. That's why I see a future, all of it leading the way by you all. You know, so take some time to decompress, reconnect with your friends, spend more time with your family, but most of all, take care of yourselves and each other. I mean it. Let me close where I began, with my sincere gratitude, and I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I've been doing this for 50 years. You're the best group of people. Hard to say. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. And I tell you what, the greater honor is being able to serve with all of you. You're incredible. You really are. You really are. Mark my words. History's going to judge what you've done as one of the most significant contributions that's been made by all of America. Look, folks, you know, let me close with that poem you heard me quote before. Seamus Heaney wrote, "Once in a lifetime, the long-for tidal wave of justice will rise up and hope and mystery rhyme. You made it rhyme louder than it's rhymed in a long time." I really mean it. We're on the cusp of real change, so let's make hope and history rhyme. I love you all. I'm keeping you too long, but thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bottom of our heart, thank you. Thank you. Can I go up this way?
President Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, the outgoing president and First Lady, moments ago leaving Joint Base Andrews. You can see the plane there waiting for them. The president, former president, saying, "Stay engaged," saying, "I've been doing this for 50 years." Did say something like, "We're on the cusp of real change. Don't give up." But that's quite something to deliver to a crowd when somebody else has just been sworn in and delivered the inaugural address. And President Trump has his own plans for real change. So again, sort of a split screen moment here in Washington, and it does reflect the country. Again, sweeping mandate in the Electoral College, but still a fairly close election. Just a couple million separated Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in the popular vote. And what the former president, Joe Biden, was trying to do is keep people engaged, keep the supporters engaged. You can see them now talking to some members of his own cabinet, Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Antony Blinken right there in the crowd, having just embraced the outgoing former President Joe Biden there. And John Carl, he clearly did express a little bit of, his own reaction, if you will, to what he sat through with the inaugural address just about an hour ago from former, now incoming President Trump, the 47th president of the United States.
He said the fight's not over. We still have work to do. And he made a comment, especially after hearing that speech, we've got work to do. And then he crossed himself.
Yeah, sign of the cross, right? Yeah.
Sign of the cross, as if to say he needed